Let's dive into this concept of relational engineering. We're going to be going deep on how strategically building relationships can be like a huge asset, almost like an insurance policy to your business.
That's a really good way to put it. And it's super interesting to see how we've kind of come full circle, right? From that era where it was all about personal connections to the digital boom, and now we're seeing this huge return to the importance of those authentic human connections.
Absolutely. We've got a whole bunch of material to dig into for this deep dive, video transcripts, presentations. We even have this protocol document that outlines specific steps you can take. And it's all about, like you said, building and managing their super valuable relationships.
Yeah, and it seems like it couldn't be more timely, right? We're bombarded with all this online marketing. It's overwhelming, and it often just feels, so impersonal.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's what makes this whole relational engineering thing so intriguing. It's not saying ditch the tech, but it's saying combine it with that human touch, those modern tools, find that sweet spot.
Exactly. And one of the core concepts that we keep seeing pop up in these materials is social capital. So basically, it's the value you get from your entire network of relationships.
Okay. At first glance, it sounds a bit like it's not what you know, it's who you know. But I feel like there's got to be more to it than that.
You're right, it goes way deeper. Imagine a company suddenly loses all its physical assets, like buildings, products, all the tangible stuff. What's left?
I mean, their reputation, their brand image.
Exactly. But even more fundamental than that are the relationships, right? That network is often what survives, and it's like the key to rebuilding. That social capital, it helps you get through tough times, see opportunities that others might miss, and even attract the best people.
Okay, now I'm starting to see the light. So neglecting those relationships, that would be a huge mistake. It'd be like ignoring a gold mine, right?
Yeah, more like letting a powerful asset sit idle. And the research we're looking at is packed with examples of companies that have achieved some amazing results by tapping into these referral networks. They've even got a name for this in Italian, rete segnalatori, which essentially means like a network of signalers or indicators.
Interesting. So we're not just talking about knowing a bunch of random people. A referral network is more of a system, right? It's interconnected individuals who can like connect you with your ideal clients.
Exactly. And the benefits are undeniable. Wider pool of potential clients, increased trust and credibility because you're coming through a referral, and of course, reduce marketing costs.
You've sold me on the why. But how do you actually make this happen? Do I just start handing out business cards at every networking event?
I wish it were that simple. The sources emphasize the importance of a referral director, someone who's essentially the architect of your referral network. They're building and nurturing those relationships, tracking referrals, making sure everything is properly acknowledged and rewarded.
So this sounds like a pretty important role. Is a full-time referral director like a necessity for every company?
Not necessarily. The material outlines two main approaches. So for a more comprehensive strategy, a dedicated full-time role can be super effective. But if a company's just starting out, assigning it to, say, a junior role within the sales team can be a good way to start, more of a focused approach.
Okay, that makes sense. Start small and scale up as you see the results. So you've got your referral director in place, you're tapping into your existing network, but what about building those relationships? Are there like any secret handshakes I need to know?
No secret handshakes, but there are some core principles for building relationships that actually matter.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are we talking about here?
It starts with having a clear vision and a solid set of values for your business. People connect with authenticity, right? Knowing your why is crucial. Then you've got things like empathy and active listening, really understanding people's needs and goals, not just constantly pitching your product or service.
So it's more about what you can give than what you can get. Offering valuable insights, connecting them with other people, being supportive of their endeavors.
Precisely. It's all about creating that sense of reciprocity, mutual benefit, and building real connections, not just superficial networking. It's about quality, not just quantity.
Got it. So you're not just collecting business cards, you're cultivating a community.
Exactly. And the materials we're looking at offer some really practical strategies, like being consistent and reliable, following up when you say you will, delivering on promises, being someone people can actually rely on.
Show up, don't just show off. I like that.
Well said. Another important piece is seeking out those opportunities for mutual growth and collaboration. Ask yourself, how can I help my network achieve their goals? Think about it using AI-powered insights to identify valuable connections and, tailoring your interactions to actually be helpful and supportive.
So instead of blasting out a generic mass email, use tech to tailor it to make it meaningful.
Precisely. That personal touch, even when you're using technology.
This is all great in theory, but how do we know if it's actually working? Is it just a feel-good thing, or can we actually measure it?
Great question. We need to be able to measure the effectiveness of our efforts. This is engineering, after all. Luckily, there are key performance indicators, KPIs, to help us quantify the success.
Okay, I'm all ears. What kind of KPIs are we talking about?
Well, for starters, the number of active referrers you have. Are people actually recommending your business? Then there's the conversion rate of those referrals into closed deals. Are they actually translating into business outcomes?
So not just how many people are talking about you, but how many are becoming customers because of it.
Exactly. Then you've got the time it takes to close a deal through a referral. Typically, those close much faster because there's already that trust. And finally, assess the quality of the relationships themselves. Are they strong, mutually beneficial, built on trust? Maybe use a star rating.
Sounds like a lot to keep track of.
It can be. But thankfully, we've got these partner relationship management systems, PRMs. They help you manage all this data, analyze the KPIs, think of it like a CRM, but specifically for managing that referral network.
Now that makes a lot of sense. It's all starting to click now.
The really cool thing is that many of these PRMs are incorporating some really cutting-edge technology to streamline the whole process.
Okay, now that's what I'm talking about. Using tech to supercharge your relationship.
Exactly. Imagine tools that can automate your follow-up, manage communication, make sure you don't forget those thank you notes or important milestones. And then there's AI-powered insights to help you identify those golden connections within your network and even optimize your interactions, make it more helpful.
So it's like having a super smart assistant helping you be a better friend and a better business partner at the same time.
I like that. And get this, some systems are even using blockchain technology to ensure transparency and trust with referral tracking. You can prove the authenticity of the referrals and see their impact with complete certainty.
Okay, now we're getting futuristic. A referral network on the blockchain. I'm sold.
Well, there's actually a concrete example mentioned in the sources, Segnalazione Vincente, and that's where things get really interesting.
So tell me more about this Segnalazione Vincente system. What makes it so special?
Well, what's really interesting is it's designed specifically for this whole relational engineering thing. They actually have this custom branded app that streamlines the whole process, like managing referrals and keeping everybody in the loop. It's like having a central hub for your entire network.
So no more juggling spreadsheets and trying to decipher confusing email threads.
Exactly. The app makes it super easy, for folks to submit referrals, see how things are progressing. You get updates, notifications, the whole 9 yards. And get this, they've even incorporated blockchain technology to make sure all the referrals are legit, can't be messed with.
Blockchain for referrals, that's definitely taking things to a whole new level. But what about those of us who aren't exactly, tech wizards?
Don't worry, they've got you covered. Segnalazione Vincente actually has this massive database called Rete Segnalatori. It's full of certified agents, consultants, small business owners, you name it. They're all ready and willing to connect, make introductions, and really get the ball rolling.
So it's like a matchmaking service for businesses and referrers.
You got it. And they don't just randomly connect you with anybody. They use AI and these really smart algorithms to find the perfect match based on your specific needs and goals.
Okay, so you've got this amazing app, this massive database of potential referrers, and an AI matchmaker working behind the scenes. What else is in their toolkit?
They even have a scouting service where their team will handpick top-tier referrers specifically for you based on, your industry, who you're trying to reach.
Yeah.
It's like having a personal recruiter for your referral network.
Wow, that takes all the guesswork out of it. But let's be real for a second. Getting people to actually refer you business takes more than just fancy technology, right? What's the secret sauce?
You hit the nail on the head. They have this concept called the MDR, which stands for Motore della Reciprocità. It means engine of reciprocity. It's all about recognizing that referrals are a two-way street, right?
Ah, so it's not just about what you can get, but what you can give back to those who are sending you business. Goes back to that whole idea of mutual benefit.
Exactly. They really emphasize rewarding those who are helping you grow. But it goes way beyond just sending a thank you note or a commission check. They encourage businesses to get creative, provide real value back to the people who are helping them grow.
It's all about fostering those genuine relationships where everyone wins and everyone feels valued.
That's it. And they actually host these like regular events and training programs to really build that community, that sense of collaboration among businesses and referrers.
So it's like a whole ecosystem where everyone's learning, growing, and helping each other succeed.
It's really cool. And they even have a specific referral director training to help businesses develop their own in-house expertise.
So it sounds like they've thought of everything. Are there any downsides, any potential challenges to be aware of?
Well, like with anything, it requires effort. You can't just sign up and expect referrals to start pouring in. You got to nurture these relationships, put in the work.
So it's not a magic bullet, but a tool that you gotta roll up your sleeves and use. But I guess if it has the potential to generate that kind of growth, it's gotta be worth it.
Absolutely. And the material highlights some seriously impressive results. For instance, at Elketti, that roofing company we talked about earlier, they generated over 3 million euros in revenue through referrals in just 1 year using this system. And then there's Uniac Group, a trading company. They saw a 532% return on investment in just 3 months.
Those are some seriously impressive numbers. It sounds like relational engineering, especially with something like Segnalazione Vincente, can be a real game changer.
It's a total paradigm shift, moving away from just constantly chasing clients and focusing on building that network that brings those clients to you.
Okay, I'm convinced. But before we wrap up, how can our listeners actually get started?
Well, they offer a free consultation, helps businesses assess their needs, develop a strategy, and for those who are ready to jump in, they've got this enthusiast or refunded guarantee.
That sounds pretty interesting. Tell me more about that.
So basically, if after 12 months of actively using their system, you haven't made enough referral revenue to cover your investment, they'll refund 50% of your costs.
Wow, they're really putting their money where their mouth is. It sounds like they're pretty confident in their system.
Definitely are. And they have a special bonus for those who are ready to take action right now. Schedule your free consultation by the end of the month. You can waive the consultation fee and even get a 20% discount on their services.
Okay, so there's no time to waste. This has all been super inspiring, but are there any final words of wisdom from the source material that we should leave our listeners with?
Yeah, for sure. One thing they really hammer home is that relational engineering is not just like a fad. It's a fundamental shift in how we do business, especially in this world that's getting more and more digital, more impersonal every day. Those genuine connections, they're more valuable now than ever before.
It's almost like a secret weapon in today's competitive world. So instead of getting lost in this sea of online marketing tactics, we should be putting our energy into building those real-world relationships.
Exactly. And the coolest thing is, it's not just good for business, it's good for us as humans, right? It brings back that sense of community, that connection we all need.
So true. It's like a reminder to step away from our screens, pick up the phone, have a real conversation. You never know what might be waiting on the other end of that connection.
Well said. And hey, who knows, maybe someday we'll be doing a deep dive on your success story, all thanks to relational engineering.
Yeah, and you know what? It reminds me of something we were talking about earlier, that whole idea of social capital. It's not just about what you're getting out of your connections, it's the value that you're bringing to the table, too.
Right, 100%. Think of it like this. Every interaction, every conversation, every time you grab coffee with someone, it's an opportunity to make a deposit in that social capital bank. And you never know how those deposits are going to pay off down the road.
So, what are some ways our listeners can start making those deposits today? Any practical tips that we've come across in the research?
Definitely. One that's super simple but really powerful is becoming a connector. Don't just focus on building relationships that benefit you directly. Think about who you can introduce to each other, those win-win situations.
Right. Being a facilitator, like building bridges between people in your network.
Exactly. And sometimes it's the little things that go a long way, just being helpful and supportive, offering advice when someone needs it, sharing resources, celebrating their wins. Those small gestures build trust, strengthen those connections.
It's like they say, people might not remember what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel.
So true. And that's where all that cool tech we talked about can really come in handy. CRMs, AI insights. Use those tools to stay top of mind. Personalize your communication so it's actually helpful and relevant.
Imagine getting a message from someone and they remember your birthday, but they also send you an article that's directly related to a project you're working on. That's taking it to a whole other level.
Exactly. It shows you're paying attention, you genuinely care, and you're invested in their success. That kind of personalized touch can make all the difference these days.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of relational engineering, I think it's clear that technology can be a powerful amplifier, but at the end of the day, it's that human element that makes those connections really count.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's all about combining the best of both worlds, leveraging the tech to streamline and optimize things, but never forgetting that real, authentic connection is at the heart of it all.
Well said. I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about and hopefully inspire them to start building their own relational engineering strategies.
I hope so, because ultimately it's about more than just growing your business or closing deals. It's about bringing back that sense of community, collaboration, genuine connection in a world that can feel pretty disconnected. That's something worth investing in.
Beautifully said. That wraps up our deep dive into relational engineering. Until next time, keep those connections strong. And remember, sometimes the most valuable assets are the ones you can't see or touch.